Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Sinking Scrubs. I'm your host, Requester45, and I've got a treat for you today. Today I'm playing in the Tier 3 Orion British battleship, and this week's episode is really going to highlight the importance of team play, even when an individual team member has a stellar game. So you're going to see we've got rather even teams. We've got a cruiser in place of one of their destroyers, and that's something to definitely keep in mind. As we go throughout today's video, I'll kind of analyze what my thought processes were, what exactly I was doing and why. That way you guys have a better understanding of how I play the game. So right here I decide I've got this string of islands to my right with this island that's closest to me. You can see it almost leads in a line, a string of 3 islands. And so I decided it'd be best to go down this path so that I can have some cover for myself while I'm trying to fire at enemy battleships. Now keep in mind, I do not have the Orion fully upgraded. I believe I have the first upgrade package on it. I've got a pretty experienced battleship commander on him. And so it's relatively quipped out. So right away we've got some spotted Wyoming that we can target, and so I throw a salvo at him, and then I decide let's focus on this Isuzuki. Now I noticed that his guns hadn't been pointing at me immediately rounding the corner. He only aimed at me after I had turned broadside to him. So at this point I decide, let's take the risk. We'll throw the AP shells.
Attention.
It manages to pay off. We hit him for about 10,000, and he entirely misses us even though he was only firing HE. Now at this point, my thought process is, let's just hang out in this position. I've got range on plenty of stuff. I can shoot at things from this distance, not have to put myself in the path of any destroyers, and I can protect my base. So we're knocking out several things at once here. Now I do notice being shot at by a cruiser. Luckily he becomes spotted by one of my friendly cruisers, and so we're able to shoot at him here. And you'll notice I'm firing AP throughout the duration of this match. We're already up to 20,000 damage here. We're 2 minutes into the game. Now we've managed to keep a majority of our health thus far, and while some of it was luck, like the Isuzuki completely missing us, it's also the fact that we're putting ourselves behind this island, keeping ourselves shielded from anything that may be near the enemy's base, while also putting ourselves in a position to fire at this Isuzuki and this Danae. Now, you'll also notice, as we're not taking damage hitting obstacles, we can actually use them to propel ourselves in the opposite direction much quicker than we would normally be able to change our direction. And so you might, throughout the course of this video, see me use an island to stop myself and to be able to change direction quickly. Now at this point I'm waiting for the Isuzuki to round the island. Now I'm thinking maybe he decided to stay on the other side of the island in his best interest. So the cruiser becomes spotted, and you know, these kind of shots are tricky. I don't want to waste a salvo of AP with the high reload time, but at the same time, I want to start getting this damage output. And I noticed something right here in this moment, that 2 of my destroyers are gone, 2 of theirs are gone, but they have 2 left. And then as I'm thinking it, we lose our 3rd destroyer. So at this point, I realize my team is at a massive disadvantage. We have lost all of our eyes, all of our sneaking capability, and 1/2 of the map is completely gone. The remaining allied ships that I have are in my position. They're hanging very close to where I am, and so at this point I start thinking, as this Isuzuki rounds the corner, we have got to make some moves. Right there, fantastic hit. We absolutely chunked the Isuzuki, and I think to myself, my cruiser should be able to finish him off. I need to focus on something else. So you'll start to see me kind of change my mind here as to what I'm going to fire at, or maybe I fire once in a while. I don't know. There's the Danae coming around the salvo at this guy. And we manage to take all of his health and kill him. Now, this puts us even in kill count, but in my mind, I know that we're at a complete disadvantage. I just lost another cruiser to a destroyer, and so at this point, I understand that we're in a losing battle. Unless we can somehow manage to sink those destroyers, it is going to be really tough for us to get out of this. So I decide, let's back up around this island. I want to make sure I'm protecting my base. I've got some bigger stuff spotted that we can start chunking away at. I've got my 2 battleships in my position. We're able to defend the base, but there's only 1 destroyer spotted up, and that's because he's firing. There's a smoke screen on the map, so what I'm thinking is the other destroyer's very likely there, and there we go. We just saw his shells come out of the smoke, so we know he's there. So at this point, I have some decisions to make. I think the best course of action is to continue to play the island that I'm on. I can pull front and back rather quickly with the Orion. Comparing to other battleships, its speed is actually decent, especially once you have the speed upgrade. And I just lost my friendly Wyoming. So at this point, it is not looking hot for me. So I decide we're gonna pull around this island here. I'm gonna try to find this destroyer, which he just became spotted. And I realized my battleship who just rounded that island right there made a dire mistake, because not only has he put himself in the path of torpedoes from that destroyer, he is giving full broadside to a Wyoming and very likely another enemy battleship that was last spotted to his right. And so he's giving broadside to 2 battleships, and he's put himself in the path of what I can only assume is a massive amount of torpedoes.
Enemy battleship detected.
Torpedoes to port.
And as I had assumed, the torpedoes take him out. So it's me and a cruiser left. We're kind of at an unfair advantage here. There's not a lot I can do, and so I decided I've already got AP loaded. Let's shoot at the destroyer. We managed to take him out very. I won't say it was very lucky, but the fact that the AP had enough to take him out with the overpin was excellent. So that was huge, taking out that destroyer. So at this point, I'm thinking the other destroyer spotted. I mean, this is a golden opportunity. Let's see if we can get lucky again, right? He's at half health. Please let us get lucky. And so we fire. He becomes unspotted, and we managed to put 5 shells on him. But it was not enough, guys. It was not enough. He still had, even if he had 1 health left, that is not a ship you want in the game. So now I've got 2 battleships firing at me, 2 Wyomings. So I'm thinking to myself, what do I do in this situation? I got to get myself angled here. So you'll see I slightly angle on this Wyoming, and then I decide, let me pull it back, throw this salvo on him, right? Let's get this salvo off on him. So there we go. We're going to throw this one. We hit him for a nice amount, over 10,000. So I'm like, all right, let me pull back. Let me angle on both these Wyomings. I've got my cruiser behind me firing. And one thing I noticed was this other Wyoming, the one you see here that I'm targeting now, was firing at the cruiser. And I made a mistake here, and I wish I had caught it. Because he just killed that friendly cruiser. And so my mistake was that I targeted this battleship and not the other battleship. Even though we hit him for a nice amount, what I should have done was I should have been focusing on the other battleship to take him out and put it down to a 2v1 situation. But instead, I focused on this Wyoming, and it will cost me in the long run, right? And the enemy destroyer, who we last saw knows where he is. So we're in a really tough situation. And at this point, I'm thinking, I just need to make the most of it. Let's get the damage output. Let's get ourselves to the top of the team here, and let's just keep on chugging in this Tier 3 Orion. the island here to stop myself. Throw off any shells that are in the air for me. I'm gonna back up quickly. Should be able to get it off another salvo.
Problem
on
solved,
Wyoming.
sir.
We'll use our last repair party. And you'll notice how high I'm aiming on him as well. We managed to hit him for a decent amount. That's put us up to 110,000 damage. And at this point, the only thing I can do is hope to kill one of the battles, right? I gotta hope that I can have a good, solid salvo, take out the Wyoming, and turn to the other ships. So you'll notice I do something unconventional here. I'll aim right for the turrets of this Wyoming, knowing that the turrets have weaker armor. Still managed to do over 5,000 damage. And the destroyer had come around the island. A very unfortunate end to an amazing game in the Tier 3 Orion. We'll look at post-game stats. We had over 116,000 damage, a Confederate, devastating strike, and high caliber metal. Managed to make a good amount of credits, good amount of XP, and we placed second on our team behind a V-170 who had 4 medals and 3 kills. So unfortunately, you can't win them all, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Much appreciated, and I'll see you next week.